This podcast is brought to you by Stereo. To experience and participate in Stereo Live, please download the Stereo app. Today we have Mark Norman as a returning guest on Jeremiah Wonders, one of my favorites and one of yours. I love him. If you haven't seen his first episode on this show, you got to go back and watch it now. Leave a like or a comment below. Maybe you're a queefer, maybe you're a Tuesdays with Stories fan, or maybe you're just a listener of this podcast and you want to let us know that you're here. We appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone who has been downloading, renting, purchasing my special on Amazon Prime, giving it 5-star ratings and reviews. All that stuff helps, and it's available as an audio album right now on Spotify, Pandora, a bunch of other stuff. I'll put the link in the description below, but I appreciate your guys' support, and I'm on the road a little bit. Wednesday, December 30th, Royersford, Pennsylvania. I'm at Soul Joel's Comedy Club. It's a heated dome, it's socially distanced, safe. And then in Austin on January 7th, I'll be at Vulcan Gas Company. And January 8th and 9th, I'll be in Fort Worth, Texas at Hyenas, headlining there. And I got some great openers coming your way as well. It's going to be some amazing shows, and I hope to see you guys either in Texas or Pennsylvania. Mark is on the show right here, right now. Let's get into it. I appreciate you guys. I hope you've been having happy holidays. I hope 2021 is better for all of us than 2020 was. And let's keep it positive. And thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Without further ado, it's Mark Norman on Jeremiah Wonders. Welcome to Jeremiah Wonders live on stereo with the one, the only Mark Norman, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, good to be here. Sweep it up. Comedy. I don't know how you're doing this tech stuff. This is wild.
We got a lot of irons in the fire right now, but we're making it happen. I'm in LA. You're in New York, and we're making this.
Thanks for getting up early.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's interesting when I have to wake up early for a podcast. It kind of reminds me of being back in school, because our brains usually aren't working until much later in the night anyway. Like the jokes, I don't know. When I get inspiration to write, it's usually pretty late at night. It's not like I don't know. It feels a little bit like when you're on the road and you're doing morning press, like radio.
Exactly.
You're like, okay, exactly. I gotta be on now. This is different. Here we go.
Yeah, it's hell. You're hungover. It's the least funny you've ever been on the least funny show on the planet. It's like Diana in the morning or Cup of Joe with Dickless, and it's like, what are we doing here? And then if I become myself for 2 seconds, they just shut the lights off and pull the power switch.
Yeah, but you have some really fun morning appearances that are on the old YouTube that I recommend people to check out if you haven't seen it yet. You've got some great interactions with people who are clearly, they're trying to go toe to toe with you as a comic, and it's just so it's so lopsided. It's funny to see you kind of toying with them and stuff. It's great.
Oh, thanks. I think they think they're funny, and it's some guy who was like a weatherman in the 80s, and now he's got the big chair, and he's going to go yuck it up with a comic, and yeah, it's a nightmare. Just laugh and listen, and we'll get on with our morning.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
always...
I'm hungover.
No, it's great. That's always the best thing, like when people... like those news personalities and those radio morning DJs are like, oh, we got Mark Norman on the show right now, and Mark, you're performing at the Chuckle Hut tonight. You got any jokes for us? And you're just like, oh, man.
Yeah, and then when they try to big time you, they're like, hey, I'm the funny guy in Cincinnati, buddy. And then you just, I'm like, look, they told me to be here. Why are you mad at me? This isn't a pissing contest. I don't want to be here either.
Yeah, exactly. We're all in the same boat here. So
yes,
we're live here on stereo. This is a little bit of a different kind of podcast because basically people can leave us messages live on the show on the stereo app, and we can play them. So I'm going to play some now, and we'll have at it.
Jeremiah, beautiful. I love you, and Mark, you are my favorite stand-up comedian. I love you guys so much.
Ah, jeez, that was touching. Thank you.
Wow.
I wish you were my mom.
The Christmas gift that's never going to come this year.
You got that right. No, my mom's still in jail, but I'll get one phone call.
I had growing up, I'd always show my dad like different sketches and impressions that I was working on. And this message, what you just said about your mom, which is your mom supportive of your comedy?
You know, she's heard I do it.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I would show my dad my impressions and different stuff growing up, kind of being like, well, "What do you think, Dad?" You know, trying to impress your parents. And
Sure.
He would watch him. I'd show him this like a bunch of impressions, and I'm like, "Well, what'd you think, Dad?" And he's like, "That's pretty good. You know who's good at impressions? Jimmy Fallon. He's really good at impressions." I'm just like, I wasn't asking about Fallon. I was asking about this video that I am showing you right now.
You know, when you win the high school football game, your dad doesn't go, "Hey, you know who's good? That Tom Brady. He won a couple Super Bowls." You're like, "Yeah, but I just made this winning touchdown. Yeah, but that Peyton Manning, he's got a big forehead."
But Dad, I just won state. I had the winning touchdown. I don't know what to tell you.
You know, it's a great state, Rhode Island. That's a great. You're like, Jesus. All right, Dad.
Dad, we don't even live in Rhode Island. What are you talking about?
Anything that's not you is great.
Yeah. It's like, I know I created you and everything, and you're trying to make me proud, but I'm going to show you a couple things and make you work for it.
Yes, exactly. But hey, that's why we're funny guys and good comics, because you got to push that much harder to get Daddy's love.
It's true. And I have a pretty supportive dad, but I think that kind of stuff always like went over his head. Like what? I'm just talking about the people that I know. You're an unknown.
Right. Yeah, but I think funny is so important to us, and it's not that important to other people. We got to remember that. You know, if you were a Peabody winner or an engineer or some kind of Lifetime Achievement Award guy, I think they would respect that, but they don't understand how important funny is to us. So when you go, "Hey, Dad, I'm funny," they're like, "Yeah, so what?"
Yeah, but what kind of green are you funny? That's the whole thing. Is like
exactly.
is like the accolades, like for back home. Like my mom, I'd be so excited about certain gigs or certain opportunities that I've gotten over the years, and it would always come down to, "Oh, so what are you must be getting paid pretty well." And I'm like, "No, it's more like an exposure thing. Like it's exciting."
Right.
And I had to tell my parents after a while, I'm like, you gotta stop asking that question, because you're sucking the air out of the fun when I get to tell you something.
Good for you. That's the key. You got to tell them, because my mom would go, "I'm doing Conan." She'd go, "What about Letterman?" And I was like, you got to just let the Conan thing ride. Letterman will happen, or he'll get, he'll molest an intern, but let's just focus on the Conan.
Exactly. It's like let's be appreciative. It all goes back to like you have to teach your parents let's be grateful for what we have right now. All right.
Exactly. But hey, that's all part of it, and nobody respects comedy. What are we talking about?
We're live here on the Stereo app with my pal Mark Norman. He's in New York. I'm in Los Angeles. We're making this happen coast to coast live on Stereo. Let's play another message, Mark.
Who else can get away with saying queef on morning television? You're exactly the % gay that I'm into, Mark. Comedy.
Hey, big fan of the homosexuals. I get more dick pics than Lisa Loeb or whoever. I mean, I'm cleaning up over there.
Are your DMs pretty deep in the dick?
Ooh, I don't know what I'm, an otter or a crab. I don't know what I am in the gay world, a twink. But man, the honey badger, the gays flock to my cock. And it's wild. Like, women are always like, "You don't know what it's like to be harassed by a man." I'm like, "What, are you kidding? Look at my DMs."
The D stands for dick in the messages.
Exactly, yes. And I got a full box.
Full box. Do you think it has anything to do with you saying, like you sometimes will say on podcasts, or little hungover, little gay? Do you think that
Sure.
pushes it a little bit over the top? Like, wait, because all gay guys need, I've noticed, like if you're out like at a gay bar or something like that, they're just looking for an opening. Like if you, and I feel like that is the welcome mat for the gay castle that is your kingdom.
Maybe Kingdom Come on my back, but it's brutal because it's so flattering. I'm into it. I'm not against it, but it's tough because I think, and from what I can gather, I'm not a homosexual, but I think they like to flip the old hetero guy. Like, that's the ultimate prize. So I think maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, I think that's a different equivalent of stars and stuff of what they have, or like
Exactly.
like it's like a Boy Scout patch. Like I turned a straight guy.
Right, and I did fuck my scoutmaster, so that all comes full circle.
We blowed a load all over my chest.
Oh yeah, man, you were a scout, I guess.
I was a Cub Scout for literally a day, Mark. And then I was looking around. They were doing like this weird candlelight ceremony where like it was part of the nights, or like, this is a candlelight ceremony. Like this is one of the things that we have to do before we go out in the wilderness. And I was like, this is dumb. Like, we're lighting candles. Let's get out there already. Like I heard that we were going to be building cars, and I thought we were going to be doing like manly stuff, and they're just lighting candles and stuff. And that was it for me. If I would have stuck through, I guess I would have got to go, camping and hunting and all that stuff, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. No, I was a Cub Scout for years, and you watch the video, like the presentation video, join the Cub Scouts, and they're doing zip line, and they're at a fire, drinking cocoa in a tent, and fishing and blowing each other, and none of that was real except the last part. So it's a pretty shitty, you got to go to meetings, and you make spaghetti for old people, you do a boxcar derby race nobody cares about. So yeah, it was a ruse.
Yeah, it was. I think that's like the first pyramid scheme that we got involved in as kids was Boy Scouts, because it's all this buildup, and then you end up at the summer camp, like you said, that has none of the cool equipment or anything like that. Like the community college that I went to, I literally had better equipment, like camera stuff and broadcast stuff at my high school than at my college.
Wow.
It was the weirdest thing, and it was just a community college in Kansas, but it was just one of those things that was pretty eye-opening. I was like, oh, funding is like a real thing at these different schools and stuff like that. That's crazy. This is what the parents and PTA are actually voting on, like, oh, are we going to put our money towards this or that? And at the college, it was like they were just like way behind on the times. Like my teacher, I was like, do you guys use this? He goes, no, that's way too expensive. We don't have that here. I was like,
yeah.
But you're supposed to be like above where I just came from.
Yeah, but it's community. So you got the community camera, that some guy donated.
It's true. It's like one of those shoulder cams that
that
our dads like took home videos of.
Right.
Or just like an old newscaster.
Right. But wait a minute. Did you go? Because I went to public school and then I went to Catholic school, which was weird. But public school, I used to watch these movies like Breakfast Club and all this shit, Pretty in Pink, and they had soda and they had these giant libraries with books and statues and staircases, and the school looked so modern. I never had a modern school. My school was like 8,000 years old. I'm in New Orleans. It's all wood and falling apart. The paint's peeling off. Did you have one of those cool Hollywood high schools?
So from preschool through 7th grade, I was in a similar situation as you. I was in a private Christian school where literally everything was behind on the times. Like I remember looking at slides and stuff. Like they had those old cylinder slides, and that's how we learned a lot of stuff. They had these old, the big Britannica encyclopedias and all that stuff, and it was rare for us to go to the internet because the internet was barely even a thing. They had like a couple old desktop computers, like the IBMs and stuff like that you would maybe get 10 minutes of internet time was like a huge deal at this school. And then I went to public school, and that's when everything was like, they had the broadcasting stuff, they had filmmaking, they had photography classes, they had a lot of like different opportunities and stuff like that. But the school that I grew up going to was way behind in the times.
It's usually the other way around. The private Catholic has more money coming in than the public. But maybe Kansas is different because it was flip-flopped in my state.
Yeah, well, the thing with Kansas is at this specific private Christian school, they're just old school mentality in general. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think that they looked at, for a while, they probably looked at even technology as like, are we sure this might be a trick from Satan? You know what I mean?
I see.
It might be one of those things.
Work.
Yeah. So I think that that's where their heads were at. Like, no, we're gonna teach with what we know, and that's slides have proven to be a good, solid Christian foundation. And these books don't lie, but that electronic computer that could lie to us. I don't know.
Right. I get what you're putting down. Basically, you're saying no blacks at the school.
Basically.
All right. Behind the times, I hear you loud and clear.
We are live here on stereo with Mark Normand, and we're going to play some messages from you guys, the listeners.
How many times do you have to say that?
How scared were you doing Joe Rogan
sorry.
While Joe Rogan was there? Wasn't that the 400th or 500th episode of Kill Tony? I forget. That was so fun, though.
Oh, he's asking about me doing my Rogan impression for Joe Rogan.
Wow. I'd like to see that.
We did it on an episode of Kill Tony, and I'll have to repost it on Instagram because I don't think.
Please.
Yeah. It was a really fun night. I had a professional makeup person put me in a bald cap, and I had fake tattoos and an On It shirt, and was lifting kettlebells in front of him, and it went over great. But we'll see. It could be the reason I'll never do Rogan. I have no idea. No, I don't know.
No, he's fun. I bet he loved it.
No, he was actually a great sport. He was super cool about it. He handled it the best possible way, because in my head I was like, if he hates this, I'm going to bomb bigger than I've ever bombed in my life.
Yeah.
Like sitting on stage with somebody that you do an impression of, and you're just looking at them, and the worst thing somebody could say is like, I don't sound like that, or I don't do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like then you're like, the cat's out of the bag. Like the guy who is supposed to give the nod of approval is not, but luckily he gave the nod of approval, and it was a fun night. Yeah, I'll have to repost that, so you'll
you gotta post that. And whenever I do his podcast, I just make fun of him for 3 hours, and he's always laughing. So he's a good egg.
Yeah, good dude for sure. We're live here on stereo with Mark Normand, taking another message from you guys.
What was the strangest venue that either of you have ever played at? I know when Mark was in Toronto, he was playing at a rundown porn theater. It was a shutdown porn theater. Yeah, it was pretty dingy. The weed brownies were good, or the weed cookies or whatever were there. But yeah, what about both of you?
I mean, we've done shows, you name it. I've been shows at an ISIS bunker, my mom's asshole. I mean, I'll take any gig, but that Toronto theater was dingy. The floors were sticky. I think Fred Willard was jerking it in the back row, but it was. I remember I saw a rat from the stage, and I just let it go. But that was nothing compared to some of the places I'm sure we've both done.
I did one. This is like a fabled gig that used to that a lot of comedians would make the run on up in Morro Bay in California. It was called Osaka Joe's. And it was a sushi restaurant where you got paid in sushi for the weekend. So it was all you could eat sushi, but that's basically what you were making. And you stayed in the back of the sushi restaurant that he converted into a room, and you're staying on the grounds of I think he was sleeping somewhere else, like in the rest. It was very, very weird. So I went with a buddy to do that, and that was the first time that I got my name as a comedian in a newspaper, because they're like, this weekend at Osaka Joe's, come see Jeremiah Watkins. And I clipped it out, and I was like, this is so cool. You know what I mean? Like that moment as a comedian, seeing your name like in print, which that's kind of a dying thing now, like blogs and stuff like that. Like that's always cool, like little articles, but there's something old school and like something to write home about, like to see that newspaper, like, oh wow, this is happening. That was one of the stranger gigs that I did.
Definitely. I have all my clippings. I framed them like a fucking dweeb. But I did a gig. This kid's like an entrepreneur. Now he does all my tech stuff and YouTube stuff. He booked me at his apartment in Philadelphia in this horrible neighborhood. We go downstairs. He's got a full backdoor operation comedy club running out of his basement. And I'm talking pipes dripping, the whole thing like cinder block walls, tiny basement, and it was like one of those old school what do you call that? Like a poker game, like a speakeasy type poker game back in the 20s when that was illegal or whatever. You know, you had to slide the thing and your eyes are there and he goes, "What's the password?" You say "gum guzzler." He opens the door. And this guy must have had 60 people. We did 3 shows with 60 people each. They all sold out. And then eventually he got raided because there's no liquor license. He's selling booze. He's got no cabaret license or whatever the hell. This guy was selling merch. This guy was a goddamn entrepreneur and eventually got shut down.
See, that's what I love about comedy, though, is like comedy will always find a way, even in these pandemics.
Yeah.
That's what I respect really about a lot of you guys in the New York scene that really continued to be able to do stand-up at a high caliber and a lot of different places. Like our buddy Sam Murley just put out that special.
Yeah.
He found a way to do it up on rooftops. You know what I mean? Like
Totally.
That to me is like the New York spirit in general. Is like we're gonna make this thing happen. Where LA, there's still shows and stuff, but there's a different kind of fear that people have in LA of I think of where you guys reacted in a way where you're like, we're gonna make this happen. Where a lot of people saw it in LA, I think as an opportunity to, I'm gonna sit this out for a little bit. I'm gonna go inside, and you guys are like, well, we're close to each other in proximity all the time, so we have to figure this out.
Yes. Good point. Yeah, like I remember talking to Theo Vaughn. This is probably in July, and he's like, "This is fucking great. I'm taking some time off. I love it." And I remember thinking like, I cannot sit with my own thoughts. I got to keep moving. I hate the idea of losing a year of my life. And just think about how much better you'd be at stand-up if you had this full year and how much more material you'd have and money and stories. So I couldn't sit still. I got to keep moving. And maybe that's a New York thing. But yeah, I don't know how you guys do it in L.A. I'd be on the road every weekend if I lived there.
I've been on the road more than a lot of comics.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, which that's been good. But the thing that's weird for me right now is because there's not as many chances to get up around town, I have to work out my stuff a little bit differently right now.
Sure, same.
There's audiences that they're hearing some brand new stuff in the middle of my sets, which you know how that goes. It's like sometimes you're like, oh, okay, that was better response than what I thought. But sometimes it's like, okay, I'm glad I have another joke in the back pocket to get out of this ditch that I just dug for myself.
Completely. Yeah. Story of my life. But I think even audiences are rusty now. You know, it's like we're trying to go down on some gal, and we haven't done it in 7 months, and she hasn't been eaten out in 7 months, so she's still like, hey, I'll take it. I mean, at least you're licking my thigh. You're missing my clit and all that, but yeah, at least I'm getting something. So I think they're fine with it, and we're trying shit, and it's simpatico.
Yeah. It's a very interesting time to be a stand-up right now, especially trying to tour or anything like that. We're live here on Stereo with Mark Norman, taking your messages and maybe even some scene suggestions. Mark and I might act out some stuff for you live here on Jeremiah Wonders.
Hey, Mark, are you and Sam Morrell starting a podcast or what?
Well, as you've seen in the beginning of this, I don't know how to do anything with tech, any buttons or computer or anything. I'm clueless. So we just do it on YouTube. We film it via Zoom. I send him the thing. He puts it up on YouTube because I'm clueless. And then people are like, you got to put this on iTunes or Spotify. I'm like, I don't know how to do it, and we're already lost. So it's on YouTube. It's once a week. It's an hour of us bullshitting and catching up and doing bits. So yeah, check it out. It's called One More Drink. We start out with a cocktail. We swig it back. We bullshit because with the pandemic we can't hang. So these podcasts are a way to hang and let the people at home watch. So we're doing it on YouTube. So I guess we got to get it on the iTunes shit.
Yeah, as comics, what probably a lot of people don't realize is we're used to, like in New York and LA, or anywhere where there's a scene, really, we're used to being in parking lots or going out to eat late at night, where that's kind of where we get our yayas out and we get a riff and we get a just like you said, kind of catch up. So that's a great idea for a podcast, is to stay in touch with Sam and be like, dude, my engine's still running. Like if I don't take this car out of the drive every way, it's going to depreciate in value.
Yes, exactly. Great way to put it. And yeah, we're crazy. I feel like comics are a different breed. So you need to connect with another comic just to feel somewhat normal.
Yeah, my wife really doesn't like it when I call some of her friends that aren't in the industry normies or normal people. She's
That's
like,
what my fans are called.
Normies. She's like, don't do that. I'm like, I'm sorry, but it's hard to explain. Like, if I'm not around a comic for a long time, I'm like, I'm not expressing myself on a full the wavelength with other people.
So many filters you have to put on with regulars or civilians, as I call them, and mortals, if you will, Jews. But yeah, there's so many filters you have to put on that, like, it's exhausting hanging out with them. And they go, no, you can be yourself around me. You go, oh, great. And then you say one thing and they go, Jesus. And they call 911, you know? So it never works out. They always say that, oh, I'm crazy. I'm nuts too. And then you go, well, what do you think about the miscarriage and placenta, whatever it is? And they just start fucking running through the fields.
Have you said something in front of a family or friend when you go back home where you're like, oh, I'm not around my comedian friends anymore?
Oh,
or you're like,
yeah. Story of my life. I mean, there's so many, I can't even pin one down, but I made an abortion joke once, and my girlfriend is cool enough where she took me aside and like tried to like patch it up, and then she took me in the bathroom. She's like, you gotta cool it with that shit. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Sorry. But I didn't even think about it. I just made the joke. And, Grandma Johnson ain't ready for that shit.
Yeah. I have a podcast that's coming out here in a little bit that I recorded back home with my dad. And I asked him about, and he's an old school guy. I asked him about gay marriage and stuff like that. And, not in a joking way, but it was interesting to get his raw response on a podcast where I was like, oh yeah, I forget I'm living, we're living very different lives. I live in LA, you live in Kansas. Like, yeah, you kind of forget sometimes when you get in your comfort zone around friends and stuff like that, where you're like, oh yeah, like this isn't everybody's point of view, which that's what's great about going out on the road as a stand-up is like, you're reminded, like if you start talking a certain way on stage, like, oh yeah, not everybody's going to respond in this way. I got to remember that.
Yeah, but at least, I agree, but at least the homophobic, racist, lunatic guy is interesting to listen to. You know, whenever the weird uncle starts talking, all the relatives roll their eyes, but as the comic, I'm sitting back going, this is fucking great. This guy's talking about, burning crosses or whatever the fuck it is, and I don't agree with him, but at least it's titillating.
Yeah, I don't agree with your viewpoints at all, but you are a fascinating man, sir. I will listen to you for days. Around the fireside, let's have a chat. Let's do this.
Here.
We're live here on Stereo with Mark Norman. Listen to your messages, taking scene suggestions and your requests.
Speaking of gay, what's the gayest thing either of you have done for the sake of a joke?
It's got to be up there for me. Is I do this ongoing joke with my buddy Steve Lee, which is, if you don't know, it's Bobby Lee's little brother. And he's hilarious. We have this ongoing joke. We're called Scissor Brothers, and we have trimmed each other's pubes on multiple occasions. And that's that's probably up there for me.
Wow, that's really something. That's just trust in general. That's beyond gay. That's like a loving, trusting relationship.
That's called marriage. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, that is bananas. I don't have that with any woman I've ever been with. I wouldn't let a lady put a buzzer near my sack. But hey, to each his anal. But I guess one time I was on a party bus when I was like 15 years old with a girl, and we're making out, and she whipped it out, and she's kind of blowing me a little bit. And this is, you're 15, so this is unbelievable. And my friend was drunk, walking up and down the bus, yelling stuff and doing whatever. And he saw that, and he goes, "Hey!" And she picked her head up, and my friend did a couple of these, and then he ran off.
He gave you a couple pumps?
Yeah, jokingly, but it was kind of like, ugh, and she was freaked out, and he's a Marine now, so who knows what that means.
Dude, that's even beyond a joke to me. Like that's so funny. Like you were like, man, that's pretty extreme with the whole pubes thing. That was a little much. And then I'm listening to you, and I'm like, oh, dude, he jerked you off a little bit. Like that's next level.
Yeah,
or just a really good
wild.
friend who's just who took the joke a little too far. You know what I mean? Just really going for the yucks.
Yeah, he commits. He's full commitment. Yes, and probably about 3 strokes, and he was off into the sunset.
And you're like, and that was the last day I hung out with an act-out comic.
Yeah. Well, I still came, but either way, that person was Ralphie May.
Dude, that's a pretty epic story. You kind of blew mine out of the water. I was like, I think this is pretty good, and then you're like, hold my beer real quick.
Well, yours is trust. That is real friend trust. Was he nude? Like, did you see his package?
We just pulled our pants down like to where the pubes are popping out of the jeans, and then we had scissors and cut each other's stuff. Yeah.
Now let me ask you: is an Asian pube different than a Kansas pube?
It's very different. It's very different.
Interesting.
I told him mine were like a cinnamon brown. They're like a golden kind of brown, and his very jet black, very dark.
Jet Li.
Very, very much so. Very much so.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And like, and also a little bit more straight than mine.
Yes.
Which I didn't. I thought all pubes had the same amount of curl to them because mine is, a little froey down there. His looked more like kind of like some kind of mink coat. Like
right.
the hairs of a skunk, you know what I mean? Just kind of wiry, kind of matted.
Interesting. All right, Asian pubes. Maybe they should sell those as this fine, silky, kind of expensive fabric. That'd be funny. Like, oh, welcome to my home. I'm a rich guy. Here's my Asian pube couch. That could be fun.
I mean, all the different the different mustache pieces, that go on those bald mannequin heads, that you see at wig shops.
Yeah.
We get ceramic, penises and balls, and then you're like, this is the Asian pubes over here. This is a Oaxacan pube set over here.
Exactly. Yeah.
What kind of what are you looking for this porn scene? They have like that thing, a merkin. That's what they call it. Different merkins.
There you go. There you go. The Asian merkin is worth the most. It's the most rare, most coveted. It's like a mink or a chinchilla.
Exactly. You're listening to Pube Talk right now on Jeremiah Wonders, talking all about pubes. If you have any pubic hair questions, just why don't you fire them in? We'll address them.
On.
What do your pubes look like, Mark?
I go full mane, full bush. Sometimes if I notice it's really creeping up on the thighs, I'll clear the thighs off because you don't want that shit in the driveway. You want to keep a nice line on the yard. So I'll clear the thighs off, but other than that, I let it ride.
Nice.
My ball sack is horrifying. I mean, just strands of gray hairs shooting out like lightning from either end, and it's pretty wild.
Just Edward Scissorhands, just like at the bottom, just mounds of hair.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. I got a full mane. What about you?
I vary. I'll let mine grow out like in the winter, and then I'll do a manscape where I fully go down buzz, like give it a buzz cut. So, basically I start off as a hippie, and then I go into the military, and then I get all strung out on heroin and stuff, and, become a hippie again. And then, I get my act together. It's this back and forth thing that I have.
Right. That's fun. Yeah. Your pubes are like, they're reinventing.
Exactly. Yeah. So sometimes my balls look like they're about to invent something, or they've got a hypothesis for something because they're wild-eyed and bushy.
Yes. Pubic Edison. Or Cock Brown.
Cock Brown is pretty good. That's a good porno name for Back to the Future.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Right?
Cock Brown.
Marty, we need your dick. Let's go.
Yeah, and Michael J. Fox could have an orgasm and shake. All right, come on, folks.
I didn't need to do the act out for that.
I liked it. I needed it.
Yep. We're here live on the Stereo app with Mark Norman taking your questions and suggestions.
Mark, I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you personally. I do acting a little bit. I was on the set of a film. It was the first day. We were shooting the shit, talking about our favorite comedians and jokes. I mentioned one of your jokes. It's one of my favorites still. Does mention pedophiles. Only later did I realize that I told a joke about pedophiles on the first day of a new job, and I had to send out an apology email to everyone on the cast and crew that night.
Oh,
and it was very embarrassing, but still one of my favorite jokes. Thank you for the experience. Love it. Thank you.
Hey, thanks. I'm proud. I know that joke. I'm proud of that joke. I stand by the jokes. The writing is still there. Just because the substance matter is dark or heavy or tense, the writing is still there, so they can all blow me and blow a kid.
That's how I have I don't have too many jokes that are risque, if you will. I more sexual stuff, but I've got a couple jokes that are in that vein where I'm like, sometimes it'll get a groan from an audience, and I'm like, nope, that writing is perfect. Don't
Exactly.
listen to it before you hear those trigger words. You know what I mean?
Yes. And at least that joke he told, even if they were offended, at least they felt something. You know what I mean? That to me, that if you get a groan, I'm not saying you should go out there and just say the N-word. That's not skill. But if you're getting a groan, Dave Attell always says you're on to something because it hit a nerve. It's true. You're correct. They've thought that, or they don't want to think that. Or as Anthony Jeselnik says, a groan is a laugh, but for pussies. So I always think about that. So that's a fun joke. I appreciate the love there, Chachi, whatever that guy's name was. But don't listen to those queefs at work. They're all a bunch of squares.
I feel like Jeselnik could have that as a secret tattoo somewhere on his body. Like a groan, you know what I mean? Like a groan is just a laugh for pussies.
Yeah. And by the way, this guy's got to give an apology to his employees. Like, isn't that weird? That's what, again, back to the comedian on comedian thing. I don't get why, if you tell a joke about something that exists, why that's bad. Like, he's not fucking kids. He didn't fuck any kids. But he told a joke about other people fucking kids, and he's the bad guy. It's a very strange world. But, we're just living in it.
Yeah, I had a similar thing at one job where, and I don't know why I did this. I guess I felt comfortable enough, like around, like trying to be a comic at this job. It was the first job that I got in LA. So I think that, so I wasn't really I was doing stand up at the time, but like you can't really claim yet to be a stand up,
right?
If you know what I mean. So you're trying to really show people that you're a funny guy, and. Yeah. I had this job, as the first job that I had moving to LA was this phone sales job where it was music promotion for different artists and stuff like that. It was like different like PR and stuff like that, like different promotional packages that this company offered. And this guy that was the boss, he was like this hip guy, like colored hair, but he was like, you know, he was like the management of the team, and he was like the guy that was going to get us all riled up, like, hey, we're going to sell today. We're going to get you new artists, we're going to hook you guys up. Who's ready, you know? Like, trying to, like, get us, like, charged and stuff for the day. He goes around to give fist bumps to everybody in this circle, and I see it coming my way, and everybody's just kind of, yeah, you know, giving his fist bump. And when he got to me for the fist bump, and because he kept doing explosions with everybody around, he'd be like, he was the fist bump explosion guy. Right? So he'd be like, hey, what's up? So when it got to me, I was like, I got to put a little spice on this thing, right? So when he got to me and he fist bumped, rather than me exploding with him, I went like this and fake jizzed in his face. Yeah. And it brought the whole company meeting to a stop. Like,
that's great.
Where he literally was like, did you just fake jizz in my face, and I was like, yeah, sorry. And he's like,
funny.
and he's like, all right, well, let's have a good day, guys. Like, he just like kind of like brushed past it.
Oh, this guy stinks. He can't roll with the punches. He can't adapt. Come on. That's funny.
I thought it was funny. I was like, let's put a new spin on this. Let's make this happen.
Yeah. I mean, the worst is I've been fired from many jobs when they told me to be edgy, and then I was edgy, and they fired me.
What do you mean? Like, that's so weird. Like,
Well,
certain
I
gigs
hosted-
or...
Yeah, gigs. I hosted a game show. This guy saw me at the Cellar. I had a hot set. He said, I want to hire you to host this game show. And he's like, I like that you walk the line. You're edgy. I want you to be edgy on my show as a host. I said, great. And I got fired the first day. It was a 5-day shoot. Got fired the first day within like the first hour. Brutal.
What do you remember any of the things that
Sure. I had to host, it was a Halloween-themed show, and I had to host a costume contest. So, these girls would walk up with, like, hot outfits, Catwoman and, Wonder Woman and all these sexy witch, whatever, and they had a panel of judges. They were doing, like, the 9, the 10, the 8. And so this Catwoman walked on, sexy leather, big whip, whoosh, claws. As she's walking off, she hits the whip, and an African queen is coming on. And I go, hey, watch that whip around the African. And you could just see the cameras went, doo, the lights flickered, the plants died. They fired me right after that. But in my head, I was like, be edgy. There's a joke opportunity. Go for it. And they didn't like that.
Wow. First day of a 5-day shoot. That is, did they even offer payment for the rest of the days, or did they just...
They cut me off, but my manager fought it, and he said, we're going to sue. You said be edgy. We have emails saying be edgy. That's edgy. Like, how do we know what your edginess Richter scale is? So they paid us.
Well, that's good. It's good that you had a good manager to follow through on that, because that's a huge opportunity as a comic, and then it's like, what do you expect? I gave you exactly what you wanted.
Exactly. It's like hiring somebody for porn, then he's like getting a boner and whipping it out, and everybody's like, Jesus Christ. You're like, not like that. You're like, well, I don't know what you want.
Make love to her. What are you talking about? We didn't want this gangbang happening.
Yeah, exactly. So, but all my comic friends, and you know this, they always go, what are you, crazy? When they say be edgy, that doesn't mean edgy. Well, you can't be actually edgy. They just say that shit to sound cool.
I had somebody message. This is a very weird message that I got from a listener that they work with. Have you heard of the Bang Bus? Have you heard of that? That thing?
I've heard. I've auditioned. Of course, I love Bang Bus.
They sent one. I guess one of the guys is like a producer or like works on set somehow with that Bang Bus series, and he said that he put. I didn't watch it because I was like, I don't know if I don't really want to watch it, but he said that he included in one of their recent videos a like an inside joke from Kill Tony inside one of the scenes, like a weird like mention, and I was like, that's real weird. That's a weird like head nod. Like, I appreciate your work, so I'm gonna give back to you.
Yeah, no, just appreciate.
I was like, you're going above and beyond. I appreciate you though.
What a guy.
We are live on the Stereo app with Mark Norman taking some scene suggestions, some fun questions, and more.
I sent my first dick pic recently in the mail. Hopefully, I sent it yesterday, so she should get it by Christmas, right?
She's getting a package.
Hello.
OMG, finally, a podcast is interesting.
All right, I'll take it. I don't know if it was tongue-in-cheek or not, but I'll take
Didn't sound like it.
Look, I used to live in the forest, and I used to burn fires. When I used to burn fires, I didn't think what was going on around me, but once I did, I realized it's just a fire.
He used to burn fires in the woods, Mark.
Wow.
That's the fun Russian roulette of this app is you either get geniuses or brain dead people who are leaving messages on the show.
Yeah. Wow, trace that guy because he's killed a class pet at some point.
Yeah, there's definitely been a turtle that's gone missing in a science class around that guy.
Totally. They say bedwetting, animal mutilation, and fires are like the 3 serial killer symptoms.
And if you're all 3, then you fit my dating app.
Yay, Grindr.
Let's do it. Live on the Stereo app with Mark Norman right now, taking your suggestions and your questions.
I'm going to pull down my pants, bend over, and admit defeat to star fucking. Are you actually Mark Normand, the comedian?
Yes.
Wait or no? If that's true, I will be, marginally starstruck and absolutely besought for one-liners, but honestly, reasonably entertaining. Fucking hell.
I think that was a guy from Scotland just... Are you who you say you are, Mark? Is that who you say you are? Is this the real Mark Norman? Because I've jerked it so many times to the Tuesdays with Stories podcast. You and Joe List, I love your stuff.
That's pretty good. I think the hottest accent on a man, Scottish.
Yeah?
Yeah, on a woman it's horrific, but on a man it's masculine and hairy-legged and whiskey drinking.
You don't want to have sex with me, do you, Mark? Come on. I've got my teeters ready to go. Put it right between there. I'll jerk you off a little bit. You don't like that?
I'm hard. That's great. I love it. Yeah, I did Glasgow once, or Glasgow, whatever they call it, and these were some hard-nosed, booze-baggy, pasty, red-faced men. Like, these guys were tough over there. That's a tough town or tough place.
Do you feel like with those audiences, you said those are tough guys, when you did get them to break and laugh, that's got to be a better feeling, right, than some other audiences? Like for me, if I'm performing in a crowd where there's like some tough-looking black dudes who are not laughing at any of my stuff, and then I break them finally, woo, that's like the best comedy feeling. Like when somebody's trying to be cool at a show and they're like, I'm not going to give you anything, man. I don't care how clever you think you are. And then you say something that turns them. That's like the best. Like I'll sometimes seek it out in crowds. Like if I see somebody not having a good time, I'll literally say like, I'll get you. Not that one. I'll get you with this one. I got a couple more that I think you might like.
Totally. That's the best feeling, and you feel like a real comic, and you especially when the guy before you is like, they're tough, no one can break them, they're brutal, they're not giving up anything, and then you get them. No better feeling.
How many times have you gone in cocky, because I've done this as a comic a bunch, where somebody says that, where they're like, dude, this crowd sucks, they're really bad, and you say in your mind, like, yeah, maybe for you, I got this kind of thing. Totally. And then you walk out, same exact response.
Yeah, story of my life. I've been there. Been there a million times. I've been in every seat. I've been in the seat where I'm like, they suck, you can't get them, and the other guy gets them. I've been in the position where he tells me they suck, and I think I can get them, and I definitely don't get them. It's all a nightmare.
All the different levels. I mean, you do it long enough, yeah. You're gonna face all those different palettes of the comedy.
Exactly.
Let's take a couple more messages live here on Stereo with Mark Normand.
Jesus, the glitterati back in July when you were chilling with Theo Vaughn and probably getting the calluses of your feet fucking rubbed by Joey Diaz. You know, we were all eating shit out the COVID trough. Mark, you illuminati comedic genius, you. I have to say, with the highest of disregard, you're one of the funniest and most concise comedians on the market, and I'm absolutely delighted you're on Stereo, and I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
That sounded like a guy doing an impression of a drunk Scottish guy.
That's kind of what I like, because not many people talk like this. It's like he was restarting the accent and the impression, and this is the only way. of his moniker, of his device, is to really lean into it and really say these things. But he seems like a genuine Mark Norman fan, so that's nice.
I'll take it. It's so weird, these guys, like the Illuminati. Was that the real him? I'm like, what are you kidding? I'm a broke douche living in a tiny shoebox in Manhattan. I'm on a Zoom gig at 9 a.m. Like, Illuminati? What are you talking? Get my feet rubbed by Joey Diaz? No, Joey Diaz will hand you an edible, and I listen to him talk about robbing people for 6 hours, and then Theo's talking about the Lord. Yeah, we're just having fun. I don't know, Illuminati. That's the beauty of comics, is we're not the Illuminati. We're regular cum-guzzling Nazis. Like everybody else, you know?
It's like everybody else. All the other cum-guzzling notsos out there. Yes, we can.
Hear, hear. Yeah, exactly. White fragility.
How long have you been with your girl now? You guys been dating a bit, right?
Yeah, a little bit, you know, a couple of years, 4 or 5, something like that. She's a good egg. And, you know, the pandemic, I thought it would, people say they got divorced and killed their children, but we're doing great.
Yeah, it's going to either go one way or the other. You find out your partner's true colors pretty quickly. I mean...
Yeah. Found out she was black. But, hey, no problem here. Love a Black Labia. Great show on Netflix, Black Labia.
That was a show that I auditioned for. I didn't get a call back for whatever reason, but
well, you're too pink downtown.
It's true. That's what they call me, Downtown Pink.
That's a great VJ. Hello, it's Downtown Pinky. All right, hit me with the next question.
Downtown Pinky, you're listening to BBC Radio right now. We're spinning, doing all the spins. Downtown Pinky. We've got my co-host, Downtown Willie Brown. Willie, how's it going this morning out here? We're listening to British radio right now.
Downtown Pinky sounds like a below the radar underground communist radio host. I don't know if you know the Pinky reference.
I don't think I do, actually.
Oh,
I hate to make you.
Oh,
gotcha.
I went too deep on that one. Too deep into the subcon.
Downtown Pink Brown, Communist Radio. Here on the show.
There you go.
We have Mark Norman here on the show, and he is telling us all of Illuminati's tricks today on the show. And Mark, how you say? Good to have you on show today. You have anything you'd like to say to listeners of this communist radio program?
Hey, Putin, huh? He's shirtless. What's up with that? All right. You know, in Russia, beer was considered an alcoholic beverage in 2011.
Was it really?
Yeah, fun fact. That's how much they booze, that they thought beer was like a seltzer.
This is my impression if Mark Norman was a gay Russian man. Putin and me.
Nice. Putin on the Ritz.
Putting on Ritz. That was I do an impression. Thank you for coming on show today. You have any dates or anything to plug coming up?
Oh, are we real now, or are we still Putin?
Still Putin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll be in Moscow. I'm playing at the I don't know anything Russian. Borscht Belt? I got nothing.
That's good.
All right.
We are taking some questions and your suggestions live here on the Stereo app with Mark Norman.
Hey, Mark, do you think that you're going to marry your girl?
Jeez Louise, lady. Jumping right into the personal queefs. I don't know if I understand the whole premise behind it, but I think you got to do it. I always say eventually I'll pull the trigger and kill myself. But, Bill Burr would do all these rants about why is anyone getting married? How stupid are these people? Then he got married. So I think it comes down to being the 58-year-old comedian guy trying to, bang a waitress or not be lonely. So I think that's why you do it.
So Brian Redband, obviously good buddies with Rogan and has known him about as long as anybody out here. He said that it's pretty crazy to know Joe back in the day to now, because his comedy back then was so anti-marriage and so anti-kids. And then after, he has multiple kids. He's been married for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it seems crazy as a young comic.
Right.
It literally, I have a kid that's on the way, and it's still like I'm still processing that and everything. But it's one of those things where you talk to early 20s Jeremiah, not a reality at all. Like it's like
Totally.
like that doesn't make sense at all. But now I'm like, oh no, this is the next step, the next progression or whatever, and I'm in a completely different mental state. But I used to be completely anti the idea of having kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just people. They grow. I mean, when you're a kid, you couldn't even imagine wanting to sleep with a woman. The girls have cooties, yada yada, black labia. But then, you get older, and that's all you think about. And then, one day you'll have a chair in your shower. Whereas now you're like, why would I put a chair in my shower? So I think people just progress and move on. And also, it's a young man's game doing all that chasing.
It really is. That honestly, that's in my opinion more exhausting and draining than just committing to somebody long term. I'm just like, because I never got too caught up like in the dating scene in LA. I met my wife pretty early on, to moving out there. So I always saw that, like, when my single friends would be like, how do you do it, man? How do you stay in a long-term committed relationship? I was like, I'm looking at you the same way. How are you bouncing from Tinder date to Tinder date? This seems like just like the pursuit seems so exhausting.
It's a nightmare. Yeah, totally. No, I'm with you. But also, I do want to say that single gets a bad rap. These people are like, I'm single, and it's like a negative. It's a pejorative. I think sometimes being single is actually less hurtful and less stressful than being in a bad relationship. So when I say most people get into a relationship, make sure it's a good one, because being single is sad and looked down upon. Oh, this guy's a single. He can't find anyone, or she's a spinster, or whatever it is. She'll die alone. You could be in a horrible, abusive, verbally sad relationship. So you got to figure out which is your cup of jizz.
It's true. Because if you're in a situation where you are desperate to get out of, it's always better to be the single person that knows themselves and knows what they want and are waiting for the right thing.
Hear, hear. I mean, look, when you're single, you'll kill yourself. When you're in a relationship, your spouse could kill you. So you got to weigh your options.
Dude, I always think of the crazy Phil Hartman story. Like, that's like the most insane. Like, I watched a documentary about it, and that is just, you talk about a nightmare situation, just so bizarre.
Is she in jail?
I forget if she killed herself after that.
Oh, maybe she killed herself. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, I think she killed herself after. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember. I just watched like a year ago, but I don't remember that vital detail in the documentary.
Yeah.
What happened to her? I was just so concerned about Phil. I'm like, I can't believe she'd do this.
Exactly. Who cares about her? But yeah, I think it's pretty well documented that she did it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
Yikes.
Live here on the Stereo app, taking a few more questions and suggestions with Mark Norman before we wrap up here with a listener favorite, Sax Talk.
Scene suggestion: the crew members that Tom Cruise was yelling at decided to yell back.
It's pretty clever. Good setup.
That's pretty good. For those of you who don't know, Tom Cruise went off on a film set recently for his crew not being code safe on the set. I guess they weren't wearing their masks and stuff, or they weren't social distancing in between takes. So I guess this is Mark and I are going to try this. I guess we're reacting to Tom Cruise. We're yelling at Tom Cruise for him yelling at us.
All right.
Oh, okay, Tom. You think it's fine? It's Mr. Hollywood over here coming at us We're people too. You don't have to treat us like cattle all day. Sorry that I took down my mask for a second so I could sip on some water. Okay, pal? Jim, you got anything?
Hey, forget that shit. If I see your mask down again, you're gone. I'm in Scientology, buddy. We get weird shots and fuck lizards, and we get angry every now and then. You've heard of a roid rage? How about a Scientology rage? You keep that mask up, or you're done. This is Mission Impossible 68. We're on a roll here. You need this job.
You know what? I wish I could social distance from this conversation right now. Oh, sorry that I was a little bit too close to Crafty and I was breathing on the cheese. My bad, Tom. Didn't mean to get you all set up. Is it one of those reasons? I think this is the reason why Katie Holmes left you, dude.
Hey, look. I'm 5'4". I do my own stunts. I don't mind a little danger. I'll hang on the side of an airplane, but if you cough on me, I'll fucking ruin you. Yeah, I love danger. Yeah, I'll dangle from the highest building in Dubai. But hey, if you sniffle, you're done in this business.
You know what? Why don't you go jump on Oprah's couch again, you freaking pussy? Yeah, I said it.
Hey! Sorry. Keep going. You're doing great.
I like that. I like that as the out of an improv scene when we don't know where it's going. Just two guys going, hey, and just fading away from the mic. Like that's good enough.
My whole thing with that rant was like, look, I get it. He's worried about COVID. He wants to keep people's jobs. Like, I think he had a good good intentions, but he kept saying the same thing over. And I'd be like, look, this is 4 minutes here. We got it. You know, he's like, you do that again, you're gone. No movies are being made. People are losing jobs. You put your mask down again, you're gone. You're gone. You're like, all right, I got it. Like,
yeah.
Now you're taking up movie time. Now we're at overtime because you have to keep yelling about the same fucking thing.
I got it the first time around, you know, and maybe he was doing one of those things where he wanted to get his line right, so he kept doing the same take over and over.
right, exactly.
He's like, I'm gonna get this.
Yeah, maybe.
Whoever he trusted the press a little bit too much of whoever leaked it, and he's like, I'm gonna give you 4 takes, okay? So you choose the best one, and they just leaked the whole thing. And he's at home being like, I can't believe they left all that in. None of this got edited out on the cutting room floor. He's too used to being in actor mode where he's so used to having relationships with people and stuff like that. When he's having conversations, like ask me, just ask me any question, for example.
All right. What's your favorite TV show?
I'd say my favorite TV show is MASH. Hey, can I take that again? My favorite TV show is The Office. I didn't like that one. My favorite TV show is Jeopardy. Yep, that was the one that we're going to choose. And you're like, dude, why?
Cut, print.
Yeah. Like, this guy's so much of an actor, he's lost touch with reality. He's only in acting mode all the time.
Yeah, let me take that again. How great would that have been if he was in the middle of chewing some grip out and he's like, wait, I flubbed line. And they're like, you're gone. You're gone.
Take it from you're gone. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, he got a lot of publicity, and that rant will be better than the film itself. So sleep easy, Thomas.
Probably be more viewed.
Yeah.
Let's take a couple more suggestions live here on Stereo with Mark Normand.
You guys think that Tim Dillon is actually gay, or that he's just kind of doing it for the clout, you know? And if so, do you think he'll ever come out of the straight closet?
I think he's definitely a big queer. He loves a little hot little boy. He's the Kevin Spacey of our generation. He's super gay. He just, what I love is he doesn't have to talk about it. And what's cool about Tim Dillon is he's so popular, and it disproves all these people who are like, oh, you gay guys have it so hard. You don't know what it's like. No one appreciates us. And you're like, nah, he's gay and everybody likes him. Everybody's fine with him. Nobody gives a shit. As long as you're funny, nobody cares.
Yeah, Tim's gay. He's a good buddy of both ours, and he just doesn't bring it up like a lot.
Yeah,
like he'll bring it up occasionally, like if he's if he's like prompted or whatever. But like he's not somebody who necessarily is like. There's different types of of how people show their sexuality and stuff like that. Like, and he's on the side of like where people are surprised when they find out that he's gay, and then there's other people that are like, "Hey, Queen, yes, it's good to have you here," you know, like that are on that side of the spectrum that you find out that they're straight, and you're like, "Wait, what? What's going on here?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's just gay. He just doesn't make it his personality, and I think that's commendable. Just be you. You are your identity. Don't make your sexuality your identity.
Yeah, like that's people who like that, like being gay, like in this age is like the new tattoo. It's like
right.
That's the new story like associated with it. Like oh, before this I wasn't a person, but now I've got a vehicle.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of that, especially in showbiz. So I commend him for just being a fat gay and doing his thing behind closed doors and just being funny is the priority.
What we're trying to say is just be you, no matter what orientation or gender or race or anything. Just find out who you are, and then the rest is just coup de grace. It's icing on the cake.
Yes, except for Muslims. No, I'm just
Don't
kidding.
get us started on that.
See, you know I'm joking. Isn't that weird when people are like, "Oh my God, what are you, Islamophobic?" You're like, "No, I'm telling jokes."
Well, that's what I like about your style, like as a stand-up, is even down to your sign-off. There's a joke and everything. There's a joke. You know what I mean? Like you're not wasting breath on podcast. That's something that I noticed that I admire about you on your podcast appearances. You don't waste time. It's it's happening. You know what I mean?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, let's get to it. Let's be funny. That's our job, I thought. So when these people are going off and not being funny and doing other stuff, I'm like, not really doing your gig.
Let's play this last one, and then we'll do sax talk, Mark.
Nice.
Live here on stereo.
Yo, new business idea. Merkins by Mark. Most popular Merkin store in New York City.
Merk Normand over here.
Yeah, love a Merc. What is that? Just a fake pubic bush?
Yeah, they use it in scenes from movies where it's basically a covering for your genitalia, and sometimes it has like pubic hair on it to make it look smooth or whatever. So they'll sometimes put that over like a woman, to cover the vagina, and then just have a wall of pubic hair, or like as a man as well, I believe. I think that there's male Merkins as well, where you put your thing in a pouch and hair is optional. I had to do that for a sex scene in a movie once. I had to put on like the flesh colored underwear and stuff like that, because I was in a nude scene, and they make sure everything is properly pinned down so nothing happens.
Wow, interesting. I didn't know that. That's cool. Was that weird for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It was
wow.
It was this suspense thriller that I was in, this like indie horror film called I Lived, and it was a conversation that it was before I had married my wife, and it was a weird conversation to have to take place. Like, there's a scene in this movie that it's a sex scene, so we got to have a conversation about this before I shoot this, because and my wife felt way better after she met the girl on set.
Whoa, why was it precious? I think that would make a lady feel better.
Yeah, just as soon as she walks in, she's like, "Oh, okay, I have nothing to worry about. Cool. All right."
Exactly. Oh, good. You're working with Lizzo.
Okay, yeah. I guess truth hurts. You're not attractive. People are going to be so mad to hear. Out of all the things on the podcast, like, I can't believe you said Lizzo's not beautiful.
Well, I mean, that's the funny thing is, like, how can I think she's not? And also, she lost weight and everybody yelled at her, which I think is hilarious.
I always think it's funny when people lose weight that are fat and they're like, "You can't do that." It's like, what are you talking about? They're trying to get a little bit healthier. Like, what are you doing?
I know. Then they're like, your body's beautiful no matter what, unless you can lose weight. Then you're then you're betraying us. Like,
Unless
oh,
you're
geez.
no longer the funny fat guy, then we don't like you anymore.
Exactly. Which just proves it's all narcissism and it's all about people, what they feel and what they want.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna close it out with this last segment, Sax Talk. So Mark is going to share a story of a sexual encounter. I'm going to play some sweet, sweet sax along with him. The last time you were on the show, you told a great haircut BJ story that was awesome. And so whenever you're ready, I will follow you along.
All right, then. So a couple years ago at my lady's Thanksgiving, I met her parents for the first time. And I think I was zinging and zanging because I was really killing. I had a nice shirt on, button down, and I was killing with the parents. And I think it turned my gal on. And she took me up to the old childhood bedroom, and we had a real roll in the hay in her childhood bedroom. I'm talking race car bed, Barbies looking at me, the whole thing. I'm looking at her little, dance recital shoes, and boy, did I jizz all over that My Little Pony mirror. There you go. So, yeah, hot sex. Then you have to go back down and eat some stuffing after she got stuffed and just eat some turkey while, Grandma Nena is talking about the war or whatever. And I just, got pre-cum on my thigh here. Yeah. So, that's it. Just plowed the lady in her childhood bedroom right before going down and eating some wholesome Thanksgiving dinner. I felt like Epstein. All right, what do I do now?
That's perfect.
Oh, is that it?
That's it. Yeah, it was.
Oh, okay.
That's all it was. It's just sharing a story of a sexual encounter while I play some sax along with it. So.
Oh, okay. That's pretty hot.
Nice, short and sweet. Ended with that Epstein zinger. So there you go.
Not a fan. He's a bad guy. Weird penis. Just
not
have to take a little disclaimer.
Not a fan. Just a peer.
Exactly.
Mark, thank you so much for doing Jeremiah Wonders today, man. Where can people find you online? You have an amazing special called Out to Lunch that people can watch for free on YouTube that has millions of views. That if you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend it. It's a very fun watch. I watched it with my wife. We both really enjoyed it a while ago,
thanks.
like when it came out, and. My wife, not that she's a tough critic, but she has been around. She really enjoyed it, so there you go. If that's
that means a lot. Thank you. Tell your wife I said hello and happy haul. Instagram Mark Norman, Twitter at Mark Norm, MarkNormanComedy.com. Check out my pod Tuesdays with Stories with the Fat Joe List, and be kind to each other. Praise Allah, and remember we're all on Earth for one little blip. So make it count, folks. 400 sperm. Didn't make it, so you could. So get out there and queef it up. Praise Allah.
This podcast is brought to you by Stereo. To experience and participate in Stereo Live, please download the Stereo app.